guys? Dirt here. Welcome back to Formers Friday. Again, we're taking a look at a G1 this week with Powermaster Optimus Prime. Now, before we hop into this review though, I want to let you know a small programming note. Next week, no Formers Friday, because I will be in Chicago for the Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo C2E2. And I'm hoping one of the things I can do while I'm in Chicago at C2E2 is actually get some video of some of the Transformers for sale, see if there's anything really cool on display. Maybe I can buy some that are up there, and maybe I can put out a video showing what it's like up there and some of the stuff they have for sale, some of the toys and stuff. So you're going to see some of that stuff next weekend, but no actual Formers Friday episode because I'm not going to be around to actually film one. But you can stay tuned. The week after that, we'll be right back to our regular format. Okay? Alright, let's hop in here real quick and take a look. This is the Generation 1 Powermaster Optimus Prime. Now, I never had one of these growing up. I just got this recently. This came out in that time period when I was growing up that it's kind of moving away from toys and getting into girls and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, now that I'm at that age, I'm married, have a couple kids, I'm kind of moving beyond the whole girls thing and getting back into some awesome toys. So, I grabbed this Generation 1 Powermaster's Optimus Prime. It does have a few issues, which we will talk about as we get to them. But first, let's take a look at his alt mode. Now, this is the snub-nose red cab that I like. I've always preferred that look. We've talked about that many times. And so here, in this toy, you can see he's got that basic look. He has the Powermaster engine inserted right now, because there's really no other way to store him. Now, when you put the Powermaster engine in, it actually unlocks him so he can transform. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But otherwise, there's really no good place to store him except to throw him in there. So I went ahead and stuck him back in. You can see that the trailer has the basic look of kind of your mix between your standard G1 Optimus Prime, but also the first G2 version they did of Optimus Prime with the black trailer that had the guns on the front. It's kind of a mix between both of those looks. And on the back, oh, I just knocked over the camera. Sorry about that, guys. On the back here, it actually does open. These compartments here flip open, and because it actually splits, we'll talk about this when he transforms, it splits in the legs right here. These pieces open separately, but it does open, God, and they're kind of stiff, but it does open so you can use the back, and right now I use it to store his giant God mode head, whatever you call him. But, you know, otherwise, I think the trailer, obviously it looks kind of janky. This is the only storage part. This part up here is all hollow inside. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, I mean, you've got these giant hinges here in the middle. You've got all these cuts. You've got these open areas back here. It doesn't look the greatest in form right here, but it still kind of looks pretty cool. The one thing I think I hate the most about it is this direction right here. You can see that these are the arms when he's in his giant, you know, powered up mode, his God mode, as it's called in Japan. You've got the fists showing right there on top. Now, they are hidden on the side views by these guns. They can kind of move in the way, so you don't really pay that much attention to them. But also, this is the big hollow area that Optimus Prime actually fits into when he wears this as a giant suit of armor. And so you've got this giant blue bar that connects down and actually plugs into the cab to hold them into place. So this whole section just looks really cheap, and it's wide open, and it doesn't really have kind of the quality you'd expect from the Transformer, for the pieces, you know, fitting the way they need to go, hiding and getting out of the way. This is, I think, the one part where it really falls apart the most. But otherwise, you know, the same issues that you have back here with the hinges on the cab and some of these open areas, I mean on the trailer, you also have on the cab. You've got the hinges, you've got these open areas from where the arms and the hands go. I think overall, on a scale of 1 to 10. This is a 6 or 7 for the way it looks. For the most part, it looks fine. It's obviously Optimus Prime. It does have that throwback look to the original design there. So you know that they are trying to respect that in a certain way. But overall, it's just not the greatest way that they could have gone about accomplishing that look. Now, we're going to take the trailer and just set it aside here for a minute, and we're going to focus on the cab here of Optimus Prime. Now, again, this Powermaster engine is not supposed to be in him all the time. You can see here, this is High Q, is his name, as in high quality, High Q. And High Q, there he is, he's a little robot. And that's kind of all he does. He can kind of dance a little bit, shake his arms, and that's all he does. He doesn't really do a whole lot else except turn into the engine in order to transform Optimus Prime. Now, if you look here on the grill, you can see that there's a little piece of white. When we push it in, there's this white switch, and that white switch is actually what unlocks his legs for the transformation. Now, mine is actually broken. If we take a quick look here, you can see the light-colored plastic where it actually snapped off. But this little hook is actually what hooks into and locks the legs into place. So technically, when he's like this, he's not supposed to be able to transform. When you take the engine and you plug it in, then it's supposed to unlock the legs so that you can do the transformation process. And the transformation process is pretty simple, almost as easy as doing the original G1 character. And there you have your Optimus Prime. Now, I have to admit, this version of Optimus Prime, now that he's transformed, looks really janky. He does not look that fantastic at all. Even though I like, this basic design style for Optimus Prime, I think this is one of the worst robot modes that he has. And one of the things that really drives me nuts most of all is how this is the front of the cab, but this is his chest. They faked it. They have it, sculpted with these gigantic pectoral windows, and they put this different grill on there. And then this piece that folds down and kind of covers up where the connector was in his truck mode. Also, his feet, where you connect the trailer, is right in between the feet. So they have this permanent little piece here. Instead of making it something that, you would fold up into the side of the leg or something like that, it's there all the time, stuck right in the middle. So his legs cannot move independently. They don't really move at the knee. Under the knee, they can move a little bit, but not a whole lot. They can move at the waist, because that's where he transforms. The arms can move up and down a little bit, but, you can move them out because that's how it transforms, but they can't rotate up and down. There's no movement as far as that goes. So, overall, he is really just kind of, I use the term all the time, I'm going to use it again, janky. Janky is the term that really comes to mind when I take a look at him. And I really hate having the real cab hidden in the back, and then you have this fake cab out there for his chest. I don't know, that just bothers me, I think, more than just about anything. Now, one thing we can do, though, is we can take these giant guns that were on the trailer here, and you can put it in his hand like he had his classic gun, but you can't really aim it up to shoot at anybody because, again, this arm doesn't move. So it's like you can kind of do this, maybe, like, hey, I'm just relaxing, shooting some people, because he can't stand up straight and shoot the gun. So that kind of sucks. I wish that actually worked out a little bit better. Okay. We've taken a look at him as the cab, so we're going to set him aside for just a minute. And we're going to take a look at the trailer. Because the trailer... Actually, let me pull this head out of the way. Get his head out of his butt. This trailer actually transforms into like a little command center playset for the Powermasters. So... let's real quick go ahead and take him and make him transform. And there he is. Let's throw him in the photo tent. All right. There is our command center. As you can see, this piece is a little loose here. But otherwise, this is what the trailer turns into as a command center, actually, for your Powermasters. This is actually designed with the Powermasters and then some of your tiny Transformers in mind. These guns that actually sit on the side here become like, you know, can be like little flying skiff things. It can also be a gun turret, but if you look real close, you can see these two little knobs here, notches, bits, whatever. You actually pull apart his legs, and you take Haikyuu's little, well, it's basically his wiener right there, and you snap it down in there. That's got to be the most uncomfortable way to snap your wiener into something to make you fit. But then this becomes his little gun turret thing. And so then he can sit on there. You can put another one over on this side, obviously. You can have them back here in the command center. And then you've got, you know, these little platforms. You can take some of your smaller cars, Bumblebee, things like that. Cosmos can come and sit. Cosmo, the UFO. Anyway, and so there you've got a little command center that they can sit on. Now, a couple things that bug me. Again, first of all, these stupid hands. Why don't those retract in? That just drives me crazy. I don't understand that. And second of all, when you put the stickers on the arms the way they're supposed to go, they're upside down in this mode, which to me would think you would want to rotate these. Hit the camera again. I'm sorry. Jeez. You'd want to rotate these down so that would be the correct way. But no, this is how you're supposed to do it. You're actually supposed to put the hands in the air, which maybe you just don't care. I don't know. But that's how it's supposed to be done. I don't think this by itself looks all that fantastic. It's okay. I think it gets the point across, and it's interesting that it can at least do this, so it's at least doing something different. But really, if you have like a Fortress Maximus or Metroplex or something else that you can kind of put with it, then I think it works a little bit better. But just by itself, I don't know. It's okay, but it's not the greatest. But it's kind of like when you take the regular G1 trailer and you open it up and you just kind of leave it there as some sort of mobile command center. This is kind of the same idea, except this one just doesn't quite fit into place as nicely and build a cohesive looking unit like the other one does. This one gets the point across, but not as well as it probably could. So, alright, so I don't know if there's anything really else we need to talk about as far as this thing goes, but there it is nonetheless. Alright, so now what we're going to do, take all of this schmutz off of it, and we're going to turn this into our battle armor for our giant Optimus Prime. So, in order to do that, we're going to again use the magic of video editing, and we're going to make him transform. Alright, let's throw him in here, and I don't know, kind of looks like something's missing from, oh yeah, Optimus Prime. We need to take him and actually throw him into the mix as well, which is actually real easy to do. That's pretty much all there is to it. You slide him into the chest there, and then this headpiece that was hanging out in his butt earlier, you just kind of throw on top. There you go. Now you have the giant powered up Optimus Prime. And of course, what you can do in order to display him, make him look his ultimate best, is to take your Powermaster Haikyuu and just toss him in there. Alright. There is your powered up Optimus Prime. Now, as you saw, this is really your Optimus Prime right here. This little guy shoved into the chest. The rest of it is the trailer. And again, it gets the job done, but it's not the most fantastic looking thing. I mean, obviously you've got this big flat piece in the back. That was part of the like landing strip, whatever, when he's in his command center mode. The arms, you know, you've got these guns on the side, you've got guns in his hands, but they can really only kind of move up and down like this. They can move a little bit just because of the transformation process. You can move them kind of that direction if you want to, but there's no elbow movement in them at all. So you're really just more or less looking at kind of up and down shooting as far as he goes. The legs, well, the legs can split apart because of his transformation into that city mode. They only move left and right, and they ratchet. And the ratcheting is actually pretty hard. So for the most part, he's just going to stand like this. And, you know, I guess if you kind of think about it, the easiest way to compare him to another Transformer of the era that does something similar is Ultra Magnus. And luckily, I just reviewed Ultra Magnus a couple weeks ago, so we have one handy that we can kind of take a look at here. And you can see that kind of the same problems that Ultra Magnus had, this version of Optimus Prime still has. There's not a lot of articulation. Some of the pieces look kind of janky when they fit together. But I think that definitely this mode looks better than his tractor-trailer mode. I think I like him in this robot mode a whole lot better. But just like Ultra Magnus, the legs don't really move. The arms can kind of move a little bit. But I think Ultra Magnus actually wins out overall because he does have shooting missiles. And he does have arms that can actually rotate and have motion at the elbows, whereas this version of Optimus Prime does not. But I think that you can make a really good argument that these two go together. They complement each other very well. The way that they both use the trailer to amp up the armor on Optimus Prime. And since we discussed on the Ultra Magnus video, this was originally meant to be an Optimus Prime in Japan. It was just colored red, white, and blue when they brought it to the US and they made it into a new character. This is the spiritual successor really to this figure, even though I think this one is actually a little bit better. But, I mean, the Powermaster gimmick was the gimmick at the time. They were experimenting, putting that stuff together, and I think they overall made a pretty good looking, you know, for what it was, for being one of these giant souped up pieces of armor type robots. Overall, it has a cool idea behind it, and the idea that you can actually you know, transform it into a couple different modes adds to the enjoyability a little bit, but I think overall I still prefer Ultra Magnus and sticking with a G1 Optimus Prime. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this week. Again, don't forget there's no episode next week because I will be in Chicago for C2E2, but we will do some videos, so make sure you stay tuned to popculturenetwork.com and you can see what comes down the pipeline from there. Also, you can find me on Twitter. It's at PCN_dirt. If you have any questions or comments, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can also call our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. And you can go to jointheforums.com, the official forums of the Pop Culture Network. You can talk about these toys, you can talk about any other toys, you can talk about comics, video games, all the other great stuff that you want to talk about, guys. That's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.